The build up to Mario Kart World was weird. I feel like a lot of people in the time between the full reveal and release were really waiting for that Tears of the Kingdom or Mario Odyssey moment where we get a reveal that immediately recontextualizes everything we know about the game, especially once we found out how much the game costs. They showed us some little activities we could do around the open world, but still that moment never really came. We just had to wait until release. Eventually the Switch 2 came out and I didn't get one. Shit's expensive. But about a month after launch, I finally picked one up to play Donkey Kong, and it came bundled with my system. Booting it up, it immediately feels like they really hit at something special. From that opening theme with the captivating harmonica to the beautiful new lighting and reflections, the opening hours of this game really feel like a massive step forward for the series. However, the more I played, the more I realized the extent to which everything just seemed to blur together. How many times am I gonna see this Toad, this Yoshi, this P-switch on this exact rock formation, and oh my god, how many times is it gonna make me drive past this exact pit stop? It doesn't even make any sense. Like the whole point of a chain restaurant is that you can go to any of them and have the same experience. Why the hell do they all give you one region specific food? Imagine going to McDonald's in Japan and they don't have Big Macs. Imagine going to KFC in China and they don't have fried chicken. Even some of the foods you get from certain places have seemingly very little correlation to where you got them. Like milk at Moo Moo Meadows, that's cool, I like that. Cake at Peach's Castle, awesome. But why the hell would I eat ice cream here? At a glance it's, oh, well the place is made of ice cream, of course you eat ice cream there. But I don't eat sand in the desert. When was the last time you went outside and ate ice cream in a place that was too cold to melt? You don't eat ice cream in the cold. Sorry, that was a bit of a tangent. Let's talk about the courses. Coming from Mario Kart 8, I think a lot of people went in this game with pretty high expectations. Were those expectations met? Kind of, I guess. There are pretty few tracks in this game that go that far beyond what would have been considered a pretty mid track in the last game. That's not to say they're bad, even a mid track in 8 is a pretty damn high bar to clear. But so many of these tracks are just generic iterations of the snow one or the sand one, and at this point these concepts have just been so far beyond beaten to death by other games in the series that I have to ask why we're still doing this over 30 years later. Like, I really just can't see how to anyone this is any more conceptually interesting than this. I find it really hard to believe that after 10 years they couldn't have done any better than this. Look at Peach's Castle, what is this? This isn't Peach's Castle, this is a parking garage. I think there's genuinely an argument to be made that Royal Raceway on Nintendo 64 has a more exciting iteration of the castle in this brand new game almost 30 years later. Why do so many of this game's tracks feel so fucking boring? Well, I know why. It's because of this. These tracks can't have identities because they all have to seamlessly connect to each other. In Mario Kart 8, any track can be whatever it wants to be because they can more or less take place in their own worlds. Even if the basic layout and concept aren't that far out there, it's a lot easier to just make a level and then paint some beautiful landscape on the skybox, especially when you can do that without the expectation of having to be able to go there. Designing interesting landscapes is a lot harder when you have to fit them into a cohesive world. Which apparently wasn't a problem for this fucking place, but sorry, never mind. Another thing I noticed as I played is the lack of any real persistent elements that work to really tie the whole thing together. There are a couple places that come kinda close to what I'm looking for, like how you can see Peach's Castle in the distance from a few places like the rooftops at Crown City or in the sky at the Great Mystery Block Ruins. And I love how you can see Starvey Peak from outside Blue Cinema, but even in those places you have to be in pretty specific spots for the effect to really matter. I find myself really missing any kind of cohesion or consistent through lines throughout the world. Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, while deeply flawed in many ways, maybe one more than the other, both do what I feel is a really good job of achieving the effect I'm talking about. In Breath of the Wild, no matter where you are, you can almost always look towards the center of the map and see Hyrule Castle waiting for you. The Divine Beasts and especially the lasers they emit once you complete them loom over you with a constant reminder of where you are and what's waiting for you. This is actually one of the few parts of the game that I feel like its sequel pretty much only improved. I love how you can look to any of the 4 main quests and have a pretty clear visual indication of the problem you need to solve in the region. You see the massive whirlwind emerging from Heber Mountain, you see the eruption of gloom from Death Mountain, you see Zora's Domain coated in toxic sludge, and of course you see Gerudo Valley covered in like a sandstorm or something. Maybe that one's not so great. The Lightning Temple looks cool though, and of course I have to mention Hyrule Castle again, because oh my god, look how cool it is. Okay, so normally I would say that it would be pretty unreasonable to hold the world design of a Mario Kart game to the same standards as something like Breath of the Wild. But this game is $20 more expensive. This game would get so many aura points by just making shit bigger and more visible. How the hell is, yeah, I'm talking about Sky High Sundae again, fuck you. How is this a real place that exists on this map and you somehow still can't see it unless you're like 5 feet away? They put this bullshit in the credits about how Rainbow Road is back or whatever, but not only did you not mention it was missing in the first place, but also where still is it? Why can't I go there in free roam? Imagine if Rainbow Road loomed over you throughout the game in the same way that Hyrule Castle did. Imagine if this weird ass sign in Crown City actually meant something and you actually had to go around completing primary objectives. Maybe defeating the Mecha Donkey Kong or other stuff like calming the dinosaurs in the jungle could unlock the ability to go to Rainbow Road and complete more endgame challenges. Maybe even 6 more. Imagine if these stupid fucking collectibles we do have actually meant anything. There are 3 main collectibles in free roam. First, there's the Peach Medallions. These are fun. They typically aren't hidden, the challenge is finding a way to reach them. They constantly kinda taunt you like, hey shithead, I bet you can't get up here. They're very silly and they can sometimes be pretty hard to reach. I like them. Next are the 5 mystery panels hidden in every track. These are actually my favorite of the 3. I love just driving around the tracks looking through every nook and cranny until I find all of them. It helps that they're the only trackable collectible in the entire game. It makes it a lot easier to feel like I'm working towards something. Finding all of them usually requires that you've basically explored the entire course, which means doing so usually makes it easier to find other stuff in the courses like the Peach Medallions and the final collectible, Peace Switches. These on a surface level should be the most substantial content in the entire game. Basically what they do is create little obstacle courses and a lot of them are pretty fun. I especially love the ones that try their best to mix up the level environment by doing stuff like spawning enemies or new objects. Or the ones where you race through remakes of old SNES tracks. The problem is that so many of these challenges are so unbelievably fucking boring. Drive in a circle for 4 minutes and if you get hit once, start over. Drive in a straight line for 10 seconds and trick off like 2 ramps. How would you like to drive at a quarter speed through 8 blue coins for the 100th fucking time? They did not have to put 400 of these in the game, especially when the challenges start to feel this repetitive far before you've done even a quarter of them. You know what the worst part is? Do you know what you get from completing a P-Switch challenge or any of the other collectibles? A fucking sticker. In a game that's so clearly lacking in interesting ways to unlock new characters and even vehicles, they couldn't just let us unlock cosmetics by collecting shit? Really? There are barely any fucking cars in this game, and for what reason? There are 78 vehicle customization options in Mario Kart 8. Do you know how many cars there are in Mario Kart World? 40. There are only 40 and most of them are either ass or boring as hell. They couldn't even bother giving us enough to fill out the 4 pages of the selection screen. 40 sounds like a lot, but it really doesn't feel like it when you unlock all of them the first couple hours of playing the game. I could probably open Mario Kart 8 right now and still have stuff to unlock. Not only because there's twice as many parts, but also because this game showers you with coins. Coins that have 0 use past the 5-hour mark. Could we not at least get some color options? You know, speaking of color, where is it? You have this entire middle strip of the map that's just green. These desert sections that are just this gross pale yellow, and the entire snow section is somehow just this bleak white hellscape, despite once again containing this fucking place. You know what my favorite course in free roam is? Mario Circuit. Not this one, this one. I've heard almost nothing but bad to mixed feelings about it, but I can't help but love it. I love the simple but vibrant colors that fill the screen when I'm there, and the big blocks surrounding the course are very cute. It feels like one of the only tracks in the game that actually attempted to have a backdrop that isn't just the ground. You know what's even more fucked up? I love this track. It's one of my favorites in the entire game, for more or less the same reasons. The only reason Mario Circuit wins out is because there's more room to drive around. Sky High Sundae is very linear, and there's not much to do down here, but otherwise it's one of my favorites. Unlike most people from what I've seen, most of my time has been spent in free roam. The races are fun, I guess, but to me, this is really what I wanted to be great. I feel like me and a lot of people leading up to that direct were really waiting to see that absurd price tag be justified. Of course, I and most people only paid $50 for it, but it's the principle. Parents buying this game for their kids in a year and likely for many years after with what we saw with Mario Kart 8 will be paying that full price. I really wanted this game to be something special. It's not often that a beloved Nintendo franchise as big as Mario Kart gets our chance to really take a big step forward like this. I definitely wouldn't say that I hate Mario Kart World. I just think Mario Kart's world could have achieved so much more.